Hello, hello. When marimba rhythms start to play, dance with me, make me sway. Like a lazy ocean hugs the shore, hold me close, sway me more. Like a flower petal in the breeze, bend with me, sway with me. When you dance, you have a way with me. Stay with me, sway with me. Hi! I'm just on here doing a live reading for a change. I told no one. It may just be you. Feel to come and go as you please. But it was just one of those days that I was like, I need to get on a live. I felt the spirit. And so here I am. So let's see, this might actually be 3 cards, which is all I needed. Spirit is so efficient. Okay, hold on. All right. Hello, hello. I'm doing a reading spontaneously, so if you came on, I'm gonna do a reading for you right now. Welcome, friends and fam. It'll be recorded, so it'll be around at some point. But this is a little reading for the month of February for now. I always say like the moon cycle, a moon cycle ahead. Thank you for listening. Oh my gosh, thanks. Thanks, Feline. Devin made this hat. You know he did. You gotta support. We gotta support. And you know, we must also represent the 1987 lifestyle. This is from Christina. Shout out to Christina. And Mercury Dime. Shout out to Archaic Honey. Yeah, a little reading for February, the moon cycle ahead. It's windy as fuck right now in LA. I was just feeling the spirit, and you know, it's my dad's birthday, so I figured I'll do a reading since he's not incarnate. You know, he can give me the channels, and I call this the Koa reading. The first card is our concern, what's going on. The second card is our opportunity or our obstacle. What about what's going on outside of us are we using to either help us or get in our way? And then card number 3 is the advantage or the aversion. And that is what about our own character is helping us or hindering us. I am using the deck of character. Boop. This deck is by Hannah. I'm going to butcher your last name, Hannah Wojnarowski. There's a lot of consonants side by side, so please correct me if I'm wrong, Hannah. But the deck of character is split into characters, tools, and places. So our concern is a place, and it is appropriately the moon, which was the theme in my post yesterday, right? So the time of the feminine. It is obviously Pisces season. Don't hate, just appreciate, okay? And then we also have that high intuition, that luminous body, that guiding light, and that artistic muse-like quality for my artist friends and stuff. This is a time to be creating. This is a time. Hi, I'm doing a reading if you're popping on. It's a spontaneous reading. Our first card is Moon, and it's our concern card, what's objectively happening outside of us. So first of all, intuition has always been here, right? It's not on the rise, but people's acknowledgement of the fact that like spirituality, the unknowable, the unseen is also a place, like, and a valid reality. This reality is coming to light, right? So we saw this a little bit in the pandemic in everyone's starving for not only connection, but for art, right? People wanting to binge watch shows or people revisiting old albums was a huge thing. Apparently, the wave of music listening in 2020 wasn't people listening to new stuff, but listening to old stuff that they were nostalgic for that reminded them of their youth and stuff. And so, or, you know, times when times were different or when you were out and about. And so for me, the moon in this deck isn't simply about the actual moon cycles, but it's about what it represents. And to me, the moon is the muse and the feminine muse, the femme muse. So in that sense, whatever happens during your dead time, I call dead time. So my dead time is like when I'm doing the dishes, when I'm taking a shower, when I am cooking and my analytical mind shuts off and leaves me the fuck alone. And then my subconscious mind is running. I call that dead time. And dead time is when your higher self or when spirit guides or when whatever existence drops in the ideas about the shit that you should be doing with your time, right? And so for me, that has been writing, book. You know, the word book has been coming in my head for 15 years. Yes, I'm still writing the book, but it's in existence, right? I brought it into manifestation. So in your dead time, even if you don't feel like you know what direction you want to take in your life, existence is breadcrumbing you, giving you at least the little ideas that you need. And it's not for everybody that our life purpose or our life plan was to do some big, like, singular career or some, like, theme or something like that. For some of us, life is just a series of going along, trying out cool shit and seeing how it works for us and whether we like it or not, and that's fine. But you have to trust that existence is giving you everything that you need, even if it's not coming from other people, right? So that's why I like to use dead time. Your dead time might be being in traffic, changing diapers, cleaning with broomsticks, whatever it might be for you. Mopping, vacuuming. I don't know why I said cleaning with broomsticks. But those moments, I like to track them throughout the week. And then I like to circle over the week which of those moments were the most prominent. And then I consider that the biggest breadcrumb. So over the course of 2020 for me, that was creating an album because my dad always wanted me to be a musician and I never wrote music or felt really like comfortable doing that. But when he died, I had a huge emotional vacuum and I had a quarantine and it became an album. But it had been an idea that had been dropping in for a little while. So I made it into something because physical action or like action is the language of physical reality, right? Like we have a million ideas in our head, a million thoughts in our head. I remember commercials from us when we were 6. Are you insured? By survival, I can't take that bet. Okay, that is in my mind, okay? I haven't seen that commercial in like 15 years at the most. And that shit is in there. So physical action is the language of reality, of physical reality, because existence wants to know what you actually feel is significant enough to act upon, to live your life through, around, as. And so if that is writing for you, if that's music for you, if that's esoteric shit for you, the concern is to trust that luminous body, to trust that intuition, and to allow it to come in whatever way it can, right? So I've been writing recently in my stories about simulation or role playing to bring in the things that you want in your life. And so, you know, in that sense, okay, so the version that you most prefer, the version of yourself that you most prefer, the one that you dream you were, the one that you're like checking out to when you're not present in your life, what is that version of doing that you're not doing? Now, whatever that version of you is doing, and in my case, it used to be that, and it still is, but I was like, when I was using this exercise, I was thinking, well, that version of me is a published author. And I was like, okay, well, if the version of myself that I most prefer is a published author, then what would that version of me have been doing from now until then to have become that way and have become that person? Now, obviously, if the version of myself that I most prefer is a published author, the bitch would be writing, would she not? Yes, she would be writing. So, in that case, I have to be someone who has actually got a writing practice in my day-to-day life, or else I cannot be the version of myself that is published with my writing, right? So, that's what I mean by following your intuition. You have to allow it to come in whatever way it can. I'm not going to be published the moment I write something, just like I didn't have paying clients when I started reading cards. But you do it for the love of the thing itself. You do it for the muse. You do it for the love of creation and creativity and the love of yourself, honestly, because if it's shit you like to do, why don't you allow yourself to do it? And so the concern is allowing that feminine knowledge, that creative knowledge, that intuitive knowledge, that yin energy, to lead you in the same way in the cartoons when like they had been, like the cartoon had been asleep, like the character, and someone is cooking and the aroma comes from the kitchen to the room and they are sleeping, but they follow the aroma from the bedroom while they're sleeping into the kitchen. that's how you follow your intuition, right? So that's our concern. Thank you. Go wipe a booty. Thank you. Our second card is our opportunity or our obstacle. Our first card was our concern, and that's the moon. What objectively do we need to be trusting or knowing about outside of us, in which case it's our intuition. Our second card is our opportunity obstacle. What that is outside of us are we viewing as something that is assisting us in becoming more of what we want to be, or is preventing us from being more what we want to be? We have a tool. Again, this is the deck of character by Hannah Wienerowski. And our first tool of 2 tools, the first tool is fuel. This is kind of an interesting card for a few reasons. For one, we know when we say adding fuel to the fire, we mean giving it energy, right? You're adding fuel to the fire, you're giving this shit energy. So one, it's just about what you actually give your attention to that is helping helping to assist you or preventing you from doing what you want to do, right? But then there's this idea that like we are all co-signed by life, and we are all here whether we know the reason or not. And so the point is to actually use existence to understand why you have it, right? Like, so the thing about fire as an element is it consumes itself. It's the element that has to consume itself to remain in existence. And so I always like to suggest to people, if you would love to see a great archetype of fire in film, then Hayao Miyazaki's Howl's Moving Castle has a great archetypal depiction of fire in the character of Calcifer. And that character grows and shrinks throughout depending on what he uses for fuel, depending on what mood he's in, depending on where his mind is at or his consciousness is at or his objective is at. He grows, he shrinks, he changes color. And we know that, you know, the blue flame is the flame closest to the wick. It's the hottest flame. And on the spectrum of frequency, blue light is the longest traveling light, and red light is the shortest traveling light in wavelength. So when we're looking up at the sky and we're seeing blue purplish stars, those are the oldest, furthest motherfuckers in the universe. And, you know, and their light is piercing light years, millions of light years, in order to show itself to us. And so the fire element is like a boss-ass element. It's a very wily agent. And it's a trickster energy, of course, as is Calcifer in Howl's Moving Castle. But the opportunity, the obstacle is like the very thing that you complain about, which is probably yourself, is also the only thing that is going to get you the results that you actually want. So fuel is using what you actually have energetically to construct, embody, inhabitate, and exist within the existence that you want. So you have to use what you actually got. That's why I say simulation, right? Like, if you want to be somebody who is in love, then you should probably love the shit you're doing or the shit around you, or, you know, whatever you do love it well. Give more of what you have. In the love department, I don't mean to bankrupt yourself because love's not money, but give of yourself, reflect and embody the thing that you desire to have. Like fire burns itself. You do have to use yourself to get the outcomes that you want. You do not wait on existence to bring you those things. You find what aspect of those things are already here, and you draw them out, and you draw them out. So this is our tool for opportunity obstacle, right? And then our third card is the advantage or the aversion card. And the advantage or the aversion card is like, what about your own character? What about your own behavior is working for you or against you, right? Because it's not just shit outside. Like, your perspective is in here, your entire existence is in here, because you're the one reflecting upon it. Your existence isn't just your existence when you're being, because humans are just not, we're not masters yet. We're not fully present. So because we have spectrum of linear time that we construct as past, present, and future, you know, the more that you can be present to your own life and use what's there, the more influence you will have over what is there. The more you are in denial of what's there, the less influence you will have. So, you know, you cannot change what you will not claim. You cannot change what you will not claim, okay? So, what advantage aversion is, what within our character in this next moon cycle, approximate time, month, February, is working for us or against us. And it's a tool card again, the gun. Woo! Again, this is the deck of character by Hannah Wienerowski. It's broken into characters, places, and tools. And the tool that we are working on, that's working against us or for us, is the gun. Now we know we have all these sayings. I'm under the gun. I know I'm under the gun. Whose gun? Motherfucker. Your gun. Yes, society is on some fuckboy shit, but also you actually do not have to be any more invested or bothered by society than you allow yourself to. Of course, people, you know, life happens. Existence is outside. Occasionally, life is going to send some shit to be a wrench in your ideas. And that gives you perspective, right? Because if there was nothing to differentiate, then there would be no differences. And if there was, everything was the same, what would you need to know? So, you know, the under the gun quality here is, first of all, it's a tool, okay? It is a tool. So nothing is inherently, and you know, as a Pisces, you may just say this is a stereotype of mine, but like, a lot of people have been using this word evil lately. I don't really use this word, okay? Like, I think what is truly primordially evil, truly, that if you saw it, you would die on sight. That's my personal opinion. And by the way, I think the same thing of a truly angelic being. Like, in your little meat human body, you just do not have the conscious capacity to behold that kind of extreme energetic quality without just popping out of existence or blowing up or having an aneurysm. It's a lot, okay? If you've ever seen a UFO, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna just come out with the Venus and Aquarius and the Pisces and be like, yeah, bitch, I have seen a UFO. Real close, closer than I should have seen it. And it was such an alarming experience that the next day I literally was like, I didn't see that. I was like, I didn't see that. Like, that didn't happen. That was weird. Like, that doesn't know. And then I was like, but if I hadn't seen it, how did I know I didn't see it? Because I ain't never seen anything like that before. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about. There is this sort of level of grandeur that when you behold it, you can't even fathom that you fathomed, because it seems unfucking real. And because we think we are real, we are the realist. Can you imagine humanity as the realist? Give me a fucking break. But like, if we were the realist, then, you know, we would be able to behold what else is fully embodying itself. But humans aren't that great or that enthusiastic about being fucking human, are they? No, they're all like, oh God, like, we are terrible. We are sin. We are unloved. And all of existence, it wants nothing but for us to be loathsome and suffering and negating, nihilistic fuckboys. This is what, like, this is literally what humanity thinks of itself. Did somebody hold a gun to humanity's head and say, hey, you have to be on fuck shit? No. But humanity held that gun to humanity's head and decided that the fuck shit was necessary, a necessary part of existence. Meanwhile, Earth is like, flowers and water and fire and animals. And humans are like, guns. I mean, the fuck, humanity. Now, granted, there were whole ice ages, okay? When shit is cold, you do feel, you know, you don't got that vitamin D They're like saber-toothed tigers in the world. You have sticks. Like, the shit is hectic, okay? It is stressful. Word up to the ancestors for just not jumping off their flat earth theories, okay? Thank you, ancestors, for dealing with ice ages and grunting and not having a language to share and not knowing where the fuck you were and like getting us here to this time where I can wear a bucket hat that my friend made and a necklace that has the year of my birth because we made up years, you know? Like humanity, our ancestors got us there, you know what I'm saying? But in your character, are you using this to hunt? Are you using this to civilize? Are you using this only with the most caution? Only with the utmost regard for life? You know, in the Tao Te Ching, it says, and it's like one of my favorite passages, number 31. It says, the master approaches a battlefield as if they're approaching a funeral, with great sorrow and great regard, because they can take no joy in the killing and the suffering of others. That being said, if they must defend themselves after using every other yin-ass tactic to not be in conflict with others, then they will do it soberly, they will do it masterfully, they will do it quickly, they will take no pleasure in it. It's not kitty killing, okay? They don't fuck with their food. Masters don't fuck with their food. If I'm gonna kill you, I'm just gonna do that. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not going to make any sort of ceremonial thing out of it, and I'm gonna do it as efficiently and respectfully as possible, which, by the way, is what our indigenous family did. And by the way, every pigmentation has indigenous people, okay? But you have to go back to the lands that you came from, which means that you have to remember your fucking ancestry to know where the indigenous that you are related to comes from. But like, they hunted food efficiently with regard. When they ate animals, they did so with regard. They did so with a ritualistic, ceremonial type of reverence for the fact that, yo, I know that it's totally bizarre that we're meat-bodied consciousness on this spinning globe in the middle of infinite space, but Earth, how kind that you give us drinkable water and things that are edible and that are plentiful enough that we can eat them without, you know, destroying our existences. So the gun has a purpose, right? Nothing is inherently evil, and if it was, it would probably kill you on sight. Refer back to the beginning of this if you want to know more about that message. Nothing is inherently evil. If it was, it would kill you on sight. Nothing is inherently pure. If it was, it would kill you on sight, because humanity cannot be present and therefore cannot actually be embodied inside of what it is. And if you cannot know what is, you cannot know the pureness of the evil or the goodness of that thing. Okay? But the gun has a purpose that you can use it for. Now, in our expanding times, in going forward into the 21st century and shit, and yeah, it's the 21st century, yeah, whatever. Time it's made up, but we're calling it the 21st century, okay? So how does the gun evolve, right? We don't need it to kill people because death doesn't need our help. Death is very good at doing its job and doesn't need you and is inevitable. So, you know, like whether you're into it or not, it's coming for you and for me. So we don't need guns to kill people anymore, okay? Animals, we've figured out some domestication type of shit. So, like, we don't really need to be, like, hunting unless we are indigenous people, in which case we have a right to our indigenous ways, you know what I'm saying? But, like, if you live in a city, like, you don't need a hunting gun. That's kind of how I feel. Like, you have the freedom to have it, but I'm just saying, is that the best use for metal these days? And so, in the future, what would the gun be for, right? What would you need this kind of energy for? Come. I know. Okay, I'll come closer. Okay. Reformation, okay? Reformation, because you can melt this bitch, and you can make housing. You can milk this bitch and you can make like freeway infrastructure, right? Like you need metal to make bridges. There are a lot of guns, a lot of bullets. You can melt those motherfuckers down. So how does that apply to your character? You can use negative shit for positive outcomes. If you reconstruct your perspective of their usefulness in your existence. And the reason that that matters is because existence is infinite, so it is not subject to time. And not being subject to time, it can't make mistakes because a mistake is a linear concept. But when all time exists at once in all directions, what we from a linear perspective would call a mistake, existence would say is an experience. And so if you've had an experience that you don't prefer, aka a negative one, what about that experience taught you something that you can then use for the at least neutral and positive, if you can get there, embodiment of your existence? Nothing can be wasted in an infinite existence because it is infinitely efficient. But because that's true, you yourself as a conscious human linear being right now don't have to get it. You're gonna die. Existence will remind you that you're a spirit. It will repurpose your body. It will use what you have done and how you have lived, even if you don't know how to use it. The point of this energy is to try and get like existence, like to get on existence's level is to find your dynamic neutrality enough to recognize that everything that is here within existence is meant to be here. And because it's meant to be here, it has a purposefulness. It may not have the same purposefulness for everybody, but you get to decide with your free will what purposefulness it has for you. And ideally, you choose something that makes you feel more connected to existence, more a part of life, instead of the story that with your free will you are sinful and terrible and do not deserve to live and should be Machiavellian. I mean, no, okay? I mean, not for me anyway. It's not my philosophy. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that anything that an old, like a long, not even an old white man, but like a long dead white man thought was like true of the universe, I'm just gonna, as a black woman, not trust that by default, okay? So that includes singularity, okay? Capitalism, nihilism, and frankly, and we could talk about this another time, communism and socialism, but we could talk about that another time. So that concludes my really random reading. Concern is the moon, our intuition, using our creative energy as our muse, our opportunity obstacle, what is outside of us or around us that we are using to either prop us up or blockade us is fuel. I remind you, fire burns itself. It has to figure out how to do so sustainably in order to prolong its own existence. If you need a fire archetype, I remind you to check out Howl's Moving Castle by Hayao Miyazaki. The character Calcifer is a great archetypal fire character. And then last but not least, our advantage aversion, our character, what about our own energy is going to help us or hinder us? The gun. How we utilize the tool of pressure, how we utilize the tool of negativity to teach us about what we do prefer, what we do want, and what we do not want to repeat, more so